The Insider exclusive is now coming to television. The sample stories you are about to view have been seen by over 114 million people on the internet. Google ranked them as the most visible and most watched, even beating established network shows like NBC Dateline for viewership.
On May 14, 2009, the Chrysler Corporation, without warning, notified 789 franchise dealers that their franchises would be permanently terminated without compensation, buyouts, or negotiation, including their oldest, in fact, the world's oldest Dodge dealership, Taters Dodge. You have a major legal problem with Chrysler Corporation. Tell our audience what it is.
Well, Chrysler Corporation is closing down 789 dealers. To the actual reason, they say that they're going to save more money by closing dealers, but the dealers on that list are arguing the point that we're going to lose a lot more jobs, and in this economy, we really can't afford that. And then the trickle-down effect to the communities is going to be huge.
Several different work sites were built in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, in order to accommodate the U.S. government's need to develop uranium for the war effort. Plants labeled X10, K25, and Y12 were all constructed. Workers at these plants were segregated by job duty and not permitted to discuss what they were doing in their work. Almost 60 years later, Congress recognized that thousands of workers employed in these atomic hazardous material plants were exposed to deadly radioactive and toxic substances. A lot of workers had CBD, chronic beryllium disease, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. While you were working there, and you worked from what years?
At Y12 from 1979 until 2007. I worked 3 years prior to that at the K25 facility.
During that time, the majority of that time, did the company, did the organization caution workers about exposure to beryllium?
No.
So you knew nothing about...
No, everything. They told us everything we worked with was safe. It's more difficult to get oxygen into your blood, and it's more difficult to get carbon dioxide out of your blood.
So it's kind of like a slow poisoning, isn't it?
I figure that I'm going to smother to death eventually.
On April 10th, 1998, Ted White Jr. was charged with 13 felony criminal counts ranging from rape, child molestation, sodomy, and accused of deviant sexual intercourse with his 12-year-old stepdaughter. In 1999, he was convicted in a Missouri courtroom by a prosecutor who withheld important exculpatory evidence proving his innocence. Ted then spent the next 5 years at the Missouri State Penitentiary, incarcerated at the infamous Walls Prison in Jefferson City, Missouri, which Time magazine called the bloodiest 47 acres in America. Built in 1836, the same year that Andrew Jackson was President of the United States, Davy Crockett died at the Alamo, and Charles Darwin was sailing his HMS Beagle around the world. Because Ted White was absolutely 100% innocent, he was now in the fight of his life to prove that innocence.
The hard part about this is you have to turn your life over to your dad to make a decision to come back and fight these, because the jury was recommending 250 years for something I didn't do. And so I remember having this conversation and finding out for the first time what had happened between Detective McKinley and my wife. And I said, Dad, he said, son, I'll sell everything I have, but you got to come back and fight this.
William James once said, in any project, the most important factor is your belief. Without belief, there can be no successful outcome. Dr. Jack Kevorkian believes and believes and believes in every terminal patient's right to physician-assisted suicide. He famously said that dying is not a crime. Passion and purpose go hand in hand. When you discover your purpose, you will normally find it's something you're tremendously passionate about. You know more about Dr. Kevorkian than most people who are living today because you represented him in 6 murder cases. What would you want our audience to know about Dr. Kevorkian that they didn't read in the newspaper or they didn't get from some other place?
Well, they would never get that he's genuinely a good guy, that he's a great conversationalist.
Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive live from South Salem, New York, from Shreveport, Louisiana, from downtown Chicago, in Kansas City, Missouri, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Knoxville, Tennessee, from New York City, from Seattle, Washington, Detroit, Michigan.